My name is Greg Pyatt, and we're visiting with Larry Huff, who's a candidate for State Superintendent of Public Instruction. We're glad you're here today.
Thank you.
You were sharing a while ago that you grew up in Spiro, Oklahoma.
I was born in Spiro, Oklahoma, which is about 20 miles west of Fort Smith, Arkansas. And I graduated from Keota High School, which was about 15 miles further west.
Tell us about your family and background growing up.
My ancestors are from that area. In fact, my granddad was a WPA foreman, and he built most of the schools in LaFleur County. And my mother's family were farmers and down to the earth kind of people, depended on the earth for a living. And they were very much concerned about education. In fact, my mother and dad both graduated high school. My dad from Spiro and my mother from Keota. And Keota is where I graduated from high school. And education has always been important in our family.
Do you have kids?
I have 3 children. And they're married and have children of their own, have 7 grandchildren. And 2 families are educators. They're administrators and teachers in the school systems in Oklahoma. And the other one is an insurance agent. But I spend a great deal of my time with my grandchildren and attending sporting events and other school activities.
So where did you go to college?
Well, after I graduated from high school, I attended Eastern Oklahoma, at that time called A&M Junior College, Eastern Oklahoma A&M Junior College in downtown Wilburton. And I received my associate degree from Wilburton. Then I attended Northeastern State University and received a bachelor's degree in teacher education. Then I attended the University of Oklahoma and received a master's degree and my doctorate degree from the University of Oklahoma.
What led you to go into education as a profession?
Well, as I said, my ancestors were very much pro-education. And I've always had a desire. I've always taught Sunday school, even as 14, 15-year-old. I taught Sunday school, and I enjoyed interacting with students and young people. And education, I was just attracted and drawn to education. And I'm still a teacher. You know, I've been teaching after I retired from the State Department. I've been teaching Sunday school classes all the time for the last 25 years.
Were you a classroom teacher? And if you were, where were you a teacher?
Yes, I taught social studies and coached at Midwest City High School for 7 years. And then I was a work study teacher coordinator for 5 years. And then I started to work with the State Department of Education. And I spent approximately 32 years with the State Department. But at that particular time, I was also an adjunct professor at Oklahoma City University. I was also at East Central State University. In fact, I took a group of college students through the master's degree program at Oklahoma City University. I taught every foundation class for a group of students to get their master's degree from Oklahoma City University. Then I left the State Department for 4 years before I returned, and I was at Southwestern Oklahoma State University at Weatherford. And I taught administration courses. I supervised student teachers and entry-year teachers during that period of time.
A pretty busy career in education. This year was pretty tumultuous in education, to say the least. What do you think about the current condition of public education here in Oklahoma?
Well, I think we're at a crossroads, and I think if you were going to sum it up into one word, it would probably be critical. We're at a critical stage in education in Oklahoma. In fact, I have used the term bankrupt. You know, education's bankrupt in Oklahoma. We're going to have to pump more resources into education. For the last 15 years or more, education has not fared very well with the Oklahoma legislature. And as a result of that, we're behind. And we're going to have to catch up. And it can't be a one-time fixed deal. It's going to have to be a long-term commitment. Because when you get 15 years behind, it takes a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah.
And then it takes a lot of important individuals with the right attitude.
Obviously, salary was a very significant issue this year. Besides salary, though, what do you see as the major challenges that are facing the classroom teacher today?
Of course, most of the challenges are financial challenges. Certainly salary is important, but also school supplies and materials and textbooks are important. Class size, which ultimately comes around to financing as well. Certainly we've lost a large number of teachers from Oklahoma that have gone out of state in order to make a decent living for their families. And we're going to have to correct the salary part of it and the financial commitment, and then some of these other things will take place. Now, what I see a vital need right now is in-service training for our teachers and some sort of incentive to get teachers to return to college and get more college courses and more degrees. And that way, I think our students will be in a better position.
With what's going around the country right now, the school violence, the school shootings, it's really, again, brought to the forefront school safety. What do you see would be your role or the role of the State Department of Education in school safety?
Well, the State Department of Education is going to have to provide the leadership essential to improve the situation to where we have a safe, friendly environment for our students. And I think there's a lot that can be done, but it's going to take everyone working together. The particular situation around the world is perilous. There's all kinds of violence and things that are going on. And it's found its way into what they call soft targets, which a school would be a soft target. But we're going to have to do a better job of providing a safe environment, perhaps safe rooms. We're also going to have to train our educational personnel to be aware and on alert for anything that's different. But I think it's going to have to go further than that. I think we're going to have to quit treating the symptoms and get to the cause. What's wrong in America? What's wrong in the minds of individuals that would go out and under the name of some sort of movement, kill innocent children and others? We're going to have to look at that. I did my dissertation on television viewing habits and discipline in the schools. It came out a positive correlation. The students that watched excessive violence on television were the ones that were most disruptive in schools. And I think we're going to have to start looking at some of those things. And this was before the electronic media of the games, and we've reached that mindset, I think, with some of the students is, I can just reset everything. I can do all these things, I can reset it and start over.
Yeah.
And life's not that way. And we're going to have to bridge that gap between reality and what students sometimes perceive as reality.
What's your opinion, Larry, on ESAs or vouchers?
Well, first of all, I have a caution flag right there, because we're not supporting our public schools. And anything that would erode money or take money away from education, in my judgment, would be counterproductive. And so I think what we need to do is to fund public schools, because our founding fathers gave the responsibility to taxpayers to see to it that all children are given a free, appropriate public education. And anything that would take money away from public schools, I think would be counterproductive.
What is your vision for the State Department of Education if you're elected to state superintendent?
In my judgment, the State Department of Education should be proactive rather than reactive. There has to be deliberate planning if things are going to go smoothly and if we're going to improve the quality of education in the state of Oklahoma. We haven't done a very good job, I think, of seeing to it that schools have improvement plans. Every year, we should desire to get better than we were the year before. That's going to require some work and some effort. And I think every school in the state of Oklahoma must have a school improvement plan of how they're going to get better. It must be teacher-driven, it must be student-oriented, and it must be evaluated and improved from year to year. And I think that we also need to involve the patrons, the parents, and the community leaders in the school improvement efforts and in the desire to improve education.
This past year, POE developed the 60 and 6 plan, and we did that with legislative leaders in the governor's office. It's a plan that will take a career teacher, 25-year classroom teacher, to $60,000. Are you supportive of that effort? And if so, how would you work to implement the final 3 phases of that plan?
I would support that effort. I would support any effort that will improve the quality of services, including financial, that goes to teachers so that they can do a better job. And as a state superintendent of public instruction, I would be an advocate for teachers. I would be advocate for plans like this one that would enhance the quality of education in Oklahoma.
What are the challenges facing the career teacher in your view today in Oklahoma, and how would you go about keeping career teachers in the classroom?
Well, that's an interesting question, but it's a very serious question. And I think if we are going to provide this quality education that I've been talking about, we're going to have a system to retain quality teachers. Of course, as we said, it starts with financial. You know, teachers in Oklahoma, many of their children qualify for assistance because they're at the poverty level. We need to change that. But we also need to change the quality of in-service that we're providing for teachers. Students are different today than they were 10 years ago or 15 years ago, or for that matter, 5 years ago. And we're going to have to come closer to meeting the needs of those teachers and getting them the tools in order for them to adequately prepare our students for a 21st century world.
As we've sat here today, we appreciate you being here and answering these questions. As we visited, have you thought there's a question I wish they would have asked? So if there is, what would you like to?
Well, perhaps since I have a degree, I would like to see the state superintendent a requirement to have at least a master's degree and a certificate, valid administrator's certificate. And right now, in order to be state superintendent, you must be 31 years of age, and you must have been a registered voter in the state of Oklahoma for 10 years. I do have a master's degree and a doctor's degree, but I also have a superintendent's certificate, a high school principal's certificate, an elementary principal's certificate, a K-12 teaching certificate, a 9 through 12 social studies certificate. And while the certificate may not make you a good superintendent, I think it's a good place to start with certification. And the question that is asked, what should a state superintendent hold in the way of preparation?
There you have it, folks. We're visiting with Larry Huff, the candidate for State Superintendent of Public Instruction. Thank you, Larry, for being here today.